Vilma and Victor, how you guys doing?
We're doing well. We're doing very well.
Yeah, it's pretty hot today, right?
Yes, very
Yeah.
hot.
So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about your professional background? Why don't we start with Vilma? Tell us a little bit about maybe your what profession have you been in? What was your background academically? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I am a Lynn Tech graduate. I graduated in 2014, and I am currently a paralegal at an immigration law firm that is located in Boston.
What's it called?
It's the Law Office of Joanna Herrero.
Oh, wow. And what do you guys focus on in there?
So we focus about immigration cases. So specifically myself, I focus with cases that have to do with kids that are under 21.
Wow,
Yes.
that's beautiful. Okay,
Yes.
so you probably get a lot of DACA cases. You probably get a lot of
Yes.
TPS and so forth, right?
Asylums, yes.
Yeah.
VAWA, a lot of cases, yes.
Okay. And how long have you been there?
I've been working for this law firm for 7 years already.
Is that right? Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
7 years,
Okay.
yeah.
And well, a lot of people often ask us, did she go to college? Did she go to university? Do you have any background in undergrad or grad school?
So I am currently finishing my college degree. Yes, at Southern University. But hopefully, with God given, I'll be able to get my bachelor soon.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Okay. And by the way, we can throw some Spanish here. No se tienen que preocupar porque este programa es bilingüe, es para toda la comunidad. Y
Perfect.
yo creo que como son ustedes latinos, tal vez sería mejor ¿por qué no corremos un poco también en inglés y en español para que todos nos puedan entender? Hoy en la comunidad también tenemos a nuestro hermano Víctor. Víctor, brother, ¿cómo está?
Dani, muy bien, Dani. Gracias por la oportunidad de tenernos aquí. Not again. Para mí es un honor, un placer de poder compartir este tiempo y pues gracias, Dani.
Todas las chicas se están derritiendo de su voz, bro.
Right?
Pero yo las regaño, bro. Hey, relax. Chill, girls, chill. Tell us a little bit about your professional background, maybe some academic background as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually went to KIPP Academy, Lynn Collegiate. I was one of the founding classes when the high school came here to Lynn. I graduated in 2016. After that, I did just about a year college. And then I went off to work. Now I'm currently a business banker for Bank of America.
Nice.
And I've been doing banking for about 7 years now.
Wow. Okay. And so I'm guessing you get a plethora of different kind of clientele at Bank of America.
Yeah, so my main function right now is just I work directly with small businesses. Bank of America is one of the biggest banks that helps those small businesses, grow from scratch onto bigger companies. And so my job is to be able to help during that process, give them cash flow. If they want to finance equipment, if it's practice, a new doctor that's coming along, I help them with the process of setting up.
Yeah, and you know what's something that I really like about Bank of America? They don't require Social Security to get an account. Is that correct?
Correct. So they don't require a social to get an account or a credit card. So it's a great way to start building credit for future, purposes. If you want to buy a home, if you want to start, important things onto why you need credit.
Awesome. Okay, and why don't you tell us a little bit about, and let's see if Victor remembers. Bro, how did you meet Vilma?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a long time ago.
Okay.
It was a long time ago. I was actually during a band practice for my church where I used to go, some time ago. And she just walked in. I think they visited church with the idea of, I'm not sure, of congregating, but she was about to turn 15 years old. So she was looking to, celebrate her quinceañera there. And so she walked in. I remember her brother, her mom, spoke to the pastor.
Wow.
And that was the first time I met her. I said hello to her, and then from there it just started.
So you guys been married for 3 years, right? Because she looks 18, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. And what were your first thoughts when you saw Victor for the first time?
I'm going to be honest. I thought he was really cute, and
Okay.
I actually had spoken to a mutual friend because I was shy at the time, to please ask him if he wanted to be what you call a chambelan, my partner for my Sweet 15.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he said no.
Oh my gosh.
I can't be that easy, Danny.
I know. You got to play hard to get, man.
Exactly.
You got to say no now so you can say yes forever.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Well, I remember that we started talking at this campamento, like this youth camp that we had at a church, and from there on, we just never left our side, I guess.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
And so you guys met at a church, basically?
Yes.
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 Nice. And were you guys both really deep into your faith?
I'm going to be honest. When I started going to church at Casa del Padre, that's where I met him. My family and I, we were starting to go again
Wow.
because we had left church for a while.
Yeah.
So I say that we had faith, but my faith was about to start, if you want to put it that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's the beautiful thing about God, right? Sometimes we spend years, not be right. Sometimes we spend years praying for a future wife, and sometimes it happens right off the bat, you know. And what about you, man? Were you already praying for a wife when you met your wife?
Denny, I was 13 years old, man.
Oh, so you were praying for a wife?
I was 13 years old, wanting to be 21, you know?
Yeah.
Church for me at that time was a place to go. Me out of my family, I've been the only one who's been assisting. Being part of the band is something that would motivate me too.
Yeah.
But no, I wasn't praying for a wife at that age. I was just more, focused on being me. But it's God's plan,
That's right.
over 12 years now that
12
we've been
years,
together.
yeah.
So
Wow.
glory to God for that.
And 2 kids, right?
Two
Two
kids,
kids,
yeah.
yes.
We have a 2-month-old and an 8-year-old daughter.
2-month-old.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, yes,
Fresh out the bakery, dude.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Well, congratulations, guys. I mean, 2 months and also another daughter. And I love her name, by the way, because I love Star Wars. So it's
Yeah.
like strikes a chord every time I think about it.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. Okay. And as you guys know, it is Disability Pride Month. And we've been talking about a lot of different disabilities on our podcast. Recently, as you guys know, I'm completely blind, had a kidney transplant. My little sister in the recent episode, she was also on in the previous episode, and she was talking about ADHD, having a speech impairment, which a lot of people in the community, especially when we're speaking or learning 2 languages growing up. But Mimi, why don't you tell us a little bit about that in your life?
So I would say my disability is that I actually am deaf on my left ear. So that growing up was kind of hard for me. Not everybody knows it. So ta-da, it's out in the public now. But yeah, it was hard on me. It was really hard. I was embarrassed for quite a while until I learned, and through therapy, I learned how to love myself the way I am. And I learned that if things happen, it's because God has a purpose, there's something that I've learned that if I don't have my hearing, it's because God wanted me to hear within myself and not what's around me. So it was hard at the beginning, but now with God's help, I've learned how to manage it.
You know what's the best thing about being half deaf? You can always tell your husband, I didn't hear half the things you said.
Exactly, yes.
So it's always a good thing.
That's my favorite quote.
Okay, no, and when did you, or were you always hard of hearing is it your left ear or your right ear?
So now it's both, but
Okay.
mostly my left ear. So my whole journey started when I was 3 years old. I ended up getting a bad infection. I ended up having chronic ear infection on my left ear about 12, 13 years old, in which consisted having like ear tumors and having multiple surgeries. And due to the multiple surgeries and the ear tumors, that's what caused me to lose my hearing on my left ear. Unfortunately, just recently last year, I had a similar thing going on with my right ear, but thankfully I just lost a certain percentage on my right ear, so my good ear is my right ear right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's really awesome. So now you know which side to sit on, man. No, that's really cool. And so Victor, did you when you met Vilma, how far into your relationship did you find out that was going on?
Yeah, well, I would say probably within the first 6 months, just because just around the corner, I think she had one of her major surgeries. Then,
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember actually being there along with her father and her mom. We were all 3 of us sitting down in the waiting room, waiting for her to come out from surgery. That's when I.
That's so romantic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We
I was
gotta
about to
like.
cry.
If there's any writers out there that do screenplays, guys, you guys have to write a movie on this because that's really really awesome, dude. And how do you feel telling him for the first time about having like hearing loss in one ear?
So I was always bullied, and I guess my major fear was being bullied by him. You know, maybe not bullied like directly, but being like, oh my God, I don't want to be with someone who has like this problem. I don't want to be with someone that's gonna for the rest of her life. But no, thankfully, when I told him, he's like, I got you. Like, it's okay. Like, and like he said, what made me fall in love with him even more is that he was there on my day of my surgery.
Aww.
Mind you, I never asked him to be. He just appeared. He was just there for me. So it was, yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
That's really really cool. Now, having a disability, often, I know at least from personal experience, it can be a lot of good things, but it also brings some challenges. What would you say were some challenges? Why don't we start with Victor? What are some challenges that you would say you faced having been in being in a relationship with somebody that does have hearing loss?
Besides having to repeat myself 10 times. I mean,
okay.
At that time, right? If we go back in 2000.
Like a disco rayado, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Okay. 2012?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just the multiple appointments, I guess, that we would have to go into Mass Eye and Ear. Obviously, me not having a license, not being able to drive, willingly wanting to, right? But that was one of the major challenges back then. Finding a struggle for us to get there to multiple appointments just to keep up with her ear and make sure that she's doing all right. And trying to protect her. Any little thing that could bump into her ear or maybe a scream or a loud noise, it would affect her. So trying to control that and be self-conscious of what's going on, it was also a challenge, I would say, but it was well managed.
So you've been to the hospital much too many times, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you probably had to nurse her back to health a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
it's but you know what, man, I definitely take off my hat and I give you kudos for that because it's not easy. I know that a lot of people out there, when they are in a relationship with somebody that does have a disability, often it becomes overwhelming. It becomes very strenuous. It becomes very difficult. And sometimes it's depressing. You often spend your days more at a hospital than you do at a romantic date. But I think a lot of misconception is also that you can't have a romantic time at a hospital. I know for me, I've had several times where some of the most special moments in my life with my most recent endeavor, if you will, was at a hospital. And it was really sweet to see that person be there present for me when I most needed somebody to be there for me.
That's right.
Right? And how about for you, Mimi, as a person with a disability in this situation, what are the challenges that you faced?
The challenges I would face would be obviously not being hear people, So I guess learning how to read their lips without them knowing that I can't hear. Because like I said, I was always embarrassed. So that was a quite of a challenge for me. One of the biggest challenges that still affect me now is not being able to swim because of this. Since I can't go under the water.
So you haven't showered in like 10 days,
No,
right?
I have showered. I can shower. Let's get that clear.
So
But
if you come over, just wear a mask. Okay, yeah.
So like let's say we like if I go to a pool, if I go to the beach, I'm not able to enjoy it as others could,
Wow.
So I guess that's one of my challenges. One of my desires is like just be normal, if you want to say that.
I'm gonna challenge that a little bit, actually. Normal.
Normal.
You're not missing out.
No, yeah.
I will tell you that much. I think it's overrated.
Yeah.
Because I think there's things that you can do in your relationship that other people can't enjoy, right? I heard somebody say this week, when I couldn't talk, I wish I could stutter. And when I could stutter, I wish I could talk. And then when I could talk, I wish I could sing.
Yeah.
And when I could sing, I wish I was famous. And when I was famous, I wish I had peace.
Wow. Touching.
But it all started with not being able to talk. right? And so sometimes we want to reach this apex that culture tends to tell us, you can't have romantic dates or you can't live life to the fullest if you can't do fill in the blank, right? And obviously as a blind person, I have to adapt a lot of the things that I do with people, with friends, when I socialize, even when I'm out with a partner or something like that. And so I want to encourage you, dude. Yeah, like shower first of all, but also, he's gonna appreciate it. But also, you want to make sure that you're having and making the best of it, right? Well, what does watching TV look like? I mean, what does listening to music look like? Do you often need it louder than he does?
Yes,
Is that annoying for you? What does that look like?
Yes. So
He was about
I feel
to
like
lie.
it's always too loud.
Okay.
Or, we're watching a movie, right? Our kids are asleep. That's our time to kind of, be together and drink some
Play
coffee.
hide and seek naked. Yep, I know what you mean.
No, not necessarily, but
All the other
but
weekends.
yes.
Okay,
And so, we're watching a movie, and then she's like, "Oh, I can't hear it." So she puts up, the volume very high, and I'm like, "Wait, what? It's too loud. Lower. The kids are sleeping."
Same
So-
thing with the car, the music in the car. I like my music loud, obviously, And he's
Right.
like, my ears hurt. I'm like,
I'm a sucker for like really good bass and treble. I like to feel the vibrations in my body, but that often requires extremely high volume.
Yeah.
But as a blind person, I love but it also depends, right? I don't want like ridiculously high volume where you don't even
Yeah.
understand.
No, yeah,
Where
yeah.
like the sound gets very like watery, very muddy. I don't like that. But so what else is like when you guys are on a date? What else do you maybe specifically you, Victor? What are things you have to keep in mind when you're planning a date with your wife that typically a person wouldn't have to think about when they are going on a date?
Yeah, so I mean, we go say for dinner, right? As an example, we sit down. I ask her, "What are you having for dinner?" Right? And then sometimes the waiter does come and say, "Hey, you ready to order? What would you like?" And then she doesn't answer. So I keep that in mind, right? So I'm like, "Oh, hey, do you know what you're getting?" So in case she don't hear him, I can just say, "Oh, she would like such and such," or I'll just let her know, I would like this, honey. What are you gonna have, right? And like you said, keep on her right side so she can
Yeah,
hear
okay.
me more.
So es un galán.
yes.
Te lo mereciste.
Yes.
Okay. And but now on your end, right? What are some things that you would recommend to people maybe that they are dating somebody that is hard of hearing, but things that they might not think about, right? What are some things that you would recommend for them to keep in mind? Maybe if they're going on their first date with someone that is hard of hearing. What would be your recommendation?
I would say have a lot of patience. Have a lot of patience. Don't get frustrated. Don't get annoyed really quickly. And most importantly, don't shout out, "Hey, did you hear me?" Because we're already embarrassed enough not to hear, and then you shouting out, "Hey, did you hear me?" It's like more like embarrassed to let the whole world, "Oh, wow, they can't hear," So it's just keeping certain things between each other, or like before the date, saying, "Okay, what code do you want me to use, or what type of gesture you want me to do in order for us to understand each other, and not be yelling across the room and making it seem like and having people notice that you actually can't hear." So
Do you mind if I throw something that might be a little difficult for you?
yeah, go for it.
So, for example, I know like when people are in a relationship and maybe they're not vibing or maybe they're not on the same page about something, often, I don't know about Victor, right? But maybe like I'm the type of person where I'll probably think out loud, where I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna get to me." But what if you barely heard it? Do you ever feel like, what if he's whispering or saying something on purpose, but at low volume, so I can't hear him? Do you ever feel that way?
I can't hear them, but their gesture, the way that they look,
Their body language?
their body language says it all. So for me, it's like, "Oh God, I bothered this person," or "God, they're annoyed," or "Did I just ruin their mood?" It's
Right.
just the body language. If you're able to not hold it in, obviously, but like
Okay, yeah.
disimular, if you would say,
Yeah.
that would help out a lot. Not making the person feel bad for their own disability. Yeah.
And what about you, man? Like, what are some things that you feel can really get to you? Like, do you ever feel like she might ask you, "Can you speak louder?" But like, it might come off with an attitude and it might bother you rather than like it coming off as like, "Hey, I actually need you to speak louder."
Yeah, so
You're like this morning, right before we got
Actually,
here.
right before we walked in, she said, grab my coffee. I mean, one of the examples that I would say, you know, considering our children, right? Leah being our older daughter, 8. Say she's either working on her computer and then she's like, Mom. And I'm like, Mom, did you hear her? You know, and I'm like, hey, Leah's talking to you. Like, you know, and sometimes unconsciously I forget of, you know, her situation, right?
Right.
And sometimes that could either get to you in that moment, but then you like settle back and you're like,
yeah.
oh, you know what, Leah, just get closer to Mom, or let me go ask her, things like that. Of such.
No, that's really sweet, and I think your daughter is gonna. Well, both your daughters are gonna learn to have a lot of patience. You know?
So it's actually my daughter and my son.
I mean, yes, your daughter and your son. I was really hoping. Oh, please tell me you named them Luke.
Yes.
Yes, Lucas.
For real?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, dude, that's so awesome. Okay, yes. Oh my. Okay, I'm so excited now. Oh my gosh. No, you know what? That's really cool, and they're both gonna be able to learn to be really, really patient, and they're gonna have a really cool favorite uncle now because his name is Danny. And I'm gonna visit him every day. Oh my gosh! And oh, dude, you should name your next child like Death Star. Or something. But no, dude, that's really, really cool. You know, and one of the things that really drives me crazy sometimes, you know, just kind of touching a little bit on the disability, is how expensive hearing aids are. Right? There's hundreds to thousands of dollars, and sometimes phones try to make up for it, or like AirPods, things like that. My friend has hearing aids, and she gets them through insurance with a copayment, and she still has to pay thousands of dollars. Do you
Yes.
experience that?
Yes. So, due to the fact that with my last surgery, like I said, there was a possibility that I was going to actually lose my whole hearing. And we look into hearing aids, and let me just say, I was like, what are health insurance for then? Because
Right.
even like you said, even with copay, it was just a lot of money. And I guess what helped me through it was the AirPods, but it's not good enough for what I actually needed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really expensive. It's really expensive.
I'm gonna get you one of those. Like, do you know what an ear horn is?
No.
Think of like a little cone, and then you just put it like this next to your ear. And you're like, all right, time to hear everything. No, and you know, well, as you know, like even me as a blind person, and for those of you watching, I'm actually using my laptop today. And if you guys can hear it, let me see here. If you guys probably can't hear it, but if you can, that's a screen reader. Well, the screen reader that I use is $1,000 software, which is really, really expensive. And a lot of people that have a disability, unfortunately, may not be in the same situation as Vilma and I, and may not be in a relationship where they're getting the financial support they need, or may not have the privilege, right? So often I find a lot of people that have a disability cannot afford the mobility aids, the hearing aids, or even like the software aid that they need, the adaptive technology they need to be able to have a successful and a thriving life.